Hello everybody. I've been making the same video like I don't know how many times in the past few weeks. And there's always something I don't like about it, and I tend to talk too much. But whatever. I want to talk about spirituality and diet. And I'm talking about it because I kind of come for full circle right now. And that's why I'm going to talk about it. So initially when I began my spiritual journey, that was like I think early 2010, where I had this crazy dream that really just snapped me out of the depression and the life that I was living in. I think I said before in other videos like just how depressed I was, and it just kind of like woke me up, like this is where we are today, that type of dream. And then from there it was like this change happened in me where I all of a sudden realized like, yo, I'm really unhealthy and I wanted to take care of myself. I wanted to, get in shape and eat right and just be healthier mentally and physically and everything. And so I started walking initially, and then I naturally wanted to clean up my diet. And at the time I was living crazy. I can't say I ate bad, but I didn't eat good either. Like I didn't eat I've always been a type of person to eat a lot of vegetables or something, so it was not uncommon for me to just go, I worked so much. That's not good for you. I worked so much, and I would, to make up for not, eating a home cooked meal, I would go to like McDonald's or Burger King. And at the time Burger King didn't even have that, like they didn't even do salad, so it was most often McDonald's or like Wawa or something like that, and get the grilled chicken salad with all that shit on there that makes your salad be like 1,000 calories with some ranch dressing to add another 400 or 500 calories on there. I used to eat that stuff, calling myself being healthy so much before. That, and I never been a person to drink a whole lot of soda, so that wasn't a big deal to me. I started adding teas, and I started adding green smoothies, and I progressed to someone that prepared their meals ahead of time. I stopped working so much because in addition to the working, I did not have good friends around me. That lifestyle was toxic for me, living by the beach. I went out a lot. Drinks are cheap. I drank a lot and like often. Like it was like, okay, if I'm not going out to a club, somebody's having drinks at their house, or you know what I mean, things like that. Or at the bar that was 5 minutes away on foot. Like there was always the opportunity to drink, and I drank, and I worked hard, and I didn't sleep very much. I was the type of person that slept 4 hours. So, and then on top of that, just not eating well. I'm also working 16-hour days, and you got to commute in between. I just did not live in a healthy way, and I had to eventually stop because my feet were tore up. Like I couldn't even walk without shoes on my feet. I couldn't sit. Like I don't know, it was just awful. This awful feeling, like these pains shooting up through your foot. And I just knew that I was just overdoing it, and it was time for me to go, because people that I was around didn't think anything was wrong with that lifestyle. And I knew that something was wrong with it. And so, not to mention, I was born with so many spiritual gifts, being an empath being one of them, and all of a sudden it was really difficult to go out. Once, this awakening was happening inside of me, it was really difficult to go out and just act like I didn't see anything, or act like I didn't feel anything, or like I wasn't picking up the whole world's disgusting ass emotions. I don't have a better way to say that, but all of a sudden it was really overwhelming. So I wanted to leave there, and I knew that I wanted to live in the city. I felt like I had to live in the city, and I had this goal at that point that I would lose 50 pounds and I said, you know what, I'm going to be a vegetarian because I feel like the meat is weighing me down. That's why I did it initially. I felt like the meat was weighing me down and that I didn't need it. And when I was a kid, I actually got forced to eat meat because, you know, the doctor says that's part of a balanced diet, so your kid has to have meat. So my mom, my grandmom, and my aunts and them, they was always like doing stuff to try to make me eat meat. But, you know, as an adult, I took the decision and was like, you know what, I don't need this shit. I'm not going to eat it. And so eventually I moved upstate. When I was living sort of like middle state where my mom was, I was eating a vegetarian diet, a little too much cheese. I still didn't know what to do as far as food went. So I ate pizza and fries and salads, and that was kind of what being a vegetarian was to me. But when I moved upstate, it was like whoosh, like my vibration shot up. I was all of a sudden around all of these farmers markets everywhere. Produce was so cheap and so readily available, and so many different varieties of lettuce and, you know, all these other different vegetables and fruits to try, because they were like in international markets as well. That's where I learned to be a vegan, and more importantly, I turned into a raw vegan out of nowhere. I was just not eating anything that even looked like meat, like how some people get stuck on the substitutes and stuff. I decided that wasn't a thing for me. And my vibrations were high. I was eating probably, I don't know, how big is that thing? I would have to say at least a pound or two of salad. And in the morning I ate a green smoothie. For a snack I ate an avocado with other stuff in it, like jalapenos and cilantro and lemon juice. I would eat that with chips. Those the blue tortilla chips, I really like those. And a large ass salad. And then at night, sometimes my vibration was so high I couldn't sleep, then I would eat oatmeal. That is another thing. When your vibrations get high, especially as raw vegan, I didn't sleep. But this time it wasn't like, okay, I'm not sleeping because it wasn't like before where I wasn't sleeping because I was working myself to death. It was like I couldn't sleep and I had to be doing something. I had to be studying, or I had to be walking, or I had to be meditating. And that was a big thing for me. That brought me into meditation naturally. I started walking 10 blocks up the road to this park where it was about 3 miles, but it wasn't all the same course. Some of it was like hiking and different things like that, and it actually connected to other parts of the city, so you could be out there for longer than 3 miles if you wanted to. But more importantly, I was out very early when nobody else was around, and I would go on parts of the trail that other people weren't on at that time and just go ahead and talk to God, talk out loud. And that's how I really changed myself. And I didn't connect it with the diet at the time, but now I do. Now I realize, because when I decided that I was going to move to Baltimore, which is a much larger city, and it's really like a freaking food desert here, there are very few farmers markets, and produce is not that cheap. It's not that readily available. It's not that much of a variety. Some of it is not good, and I'm gonna flat out say that. Like, you think that like vegetables are vegetables until you live here. I have bought plums, grapefruits, oranges that you slice that shit in half and it's dry inside, and you're like, what the hell is this? So when I say it's not all good quality produce, it's not. I don't know if they're like freezing it and shipping or what causes that to happen, but no, not everything is good produce here. It's very different. So for the first time, you know, after the spring equinox, when it started, I kind of didn't really start in March like I should have. It was more, well, it's not really March, it's really technically April, but I didn't start at the beginning of April. I started it towards the end of April, just detoxing my body because I've been rather ill, and I'm going to talk about that in another video. I still don't think I sound good, but I was really sounding really terrible. That's why I said I keep refilming the video, because I'm like hacking and coughing in between, because my body is getting rid of the mucus from becoming a meat eater. That's another thing. I began to eat meat again here because not only was vegetables not like that readily available and not that good of a product sometimes, I was dating someone that was a meat eater, and then it was not necessarily just like, oh, they're tempting me, but just more like bored. Like I was bored, and then people started complaining that I was not present, and that was one of my main reasons for eating meat, because I couldn't ground myself to save my life. Like, you know how people would be like, oh, put your feet in the ground, that's gonna ground you. Go sit, talk to a tree, that's gonna ground you. Do this, do that, carry this crystal and that crystal. Yo, none of that stuff was helping me. I was getting higher and higher and higher, like literally living in between dimensions. It was not helping me. And so I was just getting worse, and people would just be like, hello, did you hear me? And I'm like, I heard you last week. It was just weird. Like I remember one time, come to think of it, it was weird. Like I wouldn't be listening to people, but I would be able to repeat back what it was that they said to me. When they'd be like, are you listening to me? I would be able to repeat it back to them, even though I wasn't consciously paying them any attention at all. And then they'd just be like, you're weird, why are you like that? No, but I was about to say, this one time, one of the pharmacists that I work with, he always came and he always parked in the same spot every day. And this particular day, it got real busy, and I was like, well, where did he go? And they were like, what do you mean? It's not time for him to be here yet. And I was like, I just saw him walk in. I was like, he had on a striped shirt, like a plaid shirt, tan and white plaid shirt, and he had on some olive green pants and his little brown shoes. You know how he dresses. And everybody was like, no, he ain't in here yet. Look outside the parking lot. And so I looked in the parking lot. His car wasn't there. So then a couple hours later, no kidding, he walks in the door exactly in the clothes that I described, and everybody was like, what the fuck? Like, how did you even do that? And he was like, oh, you met my soul before my body got here, or something like that. Like it was normal, and he just started working because he was Puerto Rican. Y'all, you already know. You don't have to explain certain things to everybody. But it was just so funny because everybody was like, how did you, what the, like, and it was weird. I was always doing things like that, and I got so hypersensitive that I would just walk by people and just start seeing their lives, which was something I was not prepared for after all of that time of my gifts being dormant. That was not easy, and I don't know, I felt like I wasn't experiencing this city the way I wanted to, and I don't know, I just felt out there and without a purpose, being out there, being up on these other dimensions, and not being able to sleep because of the buzzing feeling inside of my body, inside of my ears and everything. I was super hypersensitive. All of that, it was just like, I'm gonna eat meat, I'm gonna lower my vibration, and I succeeded at it. I did lower my vibration. However, I feel like I lowered my vibration to a bit of stupidity because junk food is addicting, number one, and I caused myself so many ailments. I've been so sick here, and the food is a big part of the problem. But I'll talk about the illnesses, different illnesses and stuff here. But one of my main things was I started drinking alone because I don't have no friends here. Just drinking by myself. Drinking because people get on my nerves. Drinking because I don't want to go to work. Drinking because I got to go to work tomorrow. Drinking, you know, things like that. I mean, not like overly drinking like I'm an alcoholic or anything, but just like wine. Like I learned the beauty of wine. And it's great, but at the same time, like having a glass of wine a day caused me to have really bad stomach ulcers. So as I had that, and then I went through bouts of like constipation and stuff like that, and just all of these stomach aches all the time. That's when I was really just like, you know, over time, amongst other things that I'll talk about later, I just was like, you know what, I'm going back to a vegan diet. So that's what I've been doing for the past month. I just finished up. I did 2 weeks of a whole bunch of detox herbs, my own little regimen, with nettles, chaparral, sarsaparilla, what is the other one called? Lemon balm. I use blue vervain. Some of this stuff just gets rid of liquid. It helps because I drink a lot of water in order to flush my system out. It just helps push that water out. I went back to using chlorophyll, drinking chlorophyll in my water, and just chamomile a lot. I drink chamomile and ginger a lot, and then obviously increasing the amount of produce. So now I'm eating a small amount of carbs. I am back to exercising, trying to run, and it's killing me because I can't breathe. Partially because it's springtime and the pollen, and partially because I'm out of shape, but whatever, I'm getting there. Anyway, that's my experience with spirituality and diet and how it affects your vibration. And yeah.